Today on Locked On Canadiens, the games are decided by goals, but the goals are decided by the details, something the Montreal Canadiens lacked in their loss against the New Jersey Devils on Thursday night.
You are Locked On Canadiens, your daily podcast on the Montreal Canadiens, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Locked On Canadiens. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day and for subscribing wherever you get your podcast. Doing that supports us here on the show, and it ensures you don't miss an episode. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. My name is Ian Boisvert, also known as that Maybe It's Ian, and I'm joined as I always am by Laura Saba, also known as the actor Sick. Laura, Montreal for the first time this season has lost 2 consecutive games. They got a point in both of them. So how are we feeling?
It's their first losing streak. I'm actually curious to see how the fan base reacts to this. I really am. Honestly, I got so used to the Canadiens being able to win that I just assumed that it was a foregone conclusion once they went up 3-2. I just assumed. And I know we're going to talk about what happened there, and I do want to focus on that a little bit. But, you know, it's not a bad way to go. And I do really want to mention that, yes, New Jersey is a fantastic team. Frustratingly so, but the Montreal Canadiens were able to go toe to toe with them. So you know, I feel like in previous years, we would always be like, I'm looking forward to this game between these two other teams because I'm excited for some good hockey. That's what we got. But this time it's our team. We don't have to go looking elsewhere. We don't have to look for a Colorado Dallas or whatever, right?
Yep.
We got that.
Yep. No, look, yeah, it's great. We'll cover that game. There's a lot to talk about, and then we have our mailbag. You guys sent in a bunch of questions, as you always do. We love hearing from you guys and love the thoughts that you guys bring to the show. So we'll get into that too. But let's start with the game. I started the show talking about the details, and I think this is where the Canadiens lost this game on Thursday night. The ice was bad. It looks terrible. The puck was bouncing the entire night, and guys were just wiping out all over the place. The problem is that the ice is bad for both teams, right? The Devils are playing on the same ice. And I think the Devils played a simpler game than Montreal did. And I think one thing that the Canadiens did that should not be something they struggle with was either bad line changes or they were really aggressively playing the Devils breakouts so aggressively that it got to the point where they were giving up an odd man rush seemingly every few minutes. These are the details I'm talking about that I think, you know, when they go back and they look at tape, they're going to go, what happened? You guys didn't do, they haven't given up that many odd man rushes all year. Yeah. You know, that's where they lost it to me.
Yeah. This is definitely a game where they have to look at tape. If I'm the Habs, I make them watch the entire 60 minutes on the tape, right?
Yeah.
There's so many moments there. There were some good things. But there's so many moments there. I do want to mention that, you know, when the first goal went in, obviously I thought it was going to be Jesper Bratt. I think we all had the same thought, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, he's really good and he's just a Hab killer.
I feel like everyone in New Jersey is a Hab killer. At one point I was like, Andre Palat is here. This guy kills the Habs every time.
Yeah. Well, Montreal hasn't won in New Jersey in years. Remember, that's the stat I read during our weekly forecast.
Yeah. Since 2016, right?
They haven't won a season series against the Devils since 2016. Yeah. So, it's been a while since they've been able to beat that team.
Even when neither team was good or when New Jersey was bad, they can't do it.
Yeah.
And I feel like all of those stats, don't matter if you can't win the game, right?
Yep. Yeah. And look, I know the narrative around this game is going to be, another third period blown lead, but I want to can that. And I'll tell you why. Kapanen scores. They go up 3-2. And from the 7-minute mark to about the minute mark when they got scored on, the Devils had nothing. They had nothing going. The Canadiens were completely stopping their breakouts. They were completely stopping them from getting set up. The building got quiet. The Devils were frustrated. They pulled their goalie. They fired a shot off of Mike Matheson's foot. And the Canadiens better pray to whoever they believe in that Mike Matheson is not hurt, because they will be in a lot of trouble if he can't play on Saturday or moving forward. But effectively, the Devils made it a 6-on-4 in that moment, and they end up scoring. I am willing to give the Canadiens the benefit of the doubt on that one, that had Mike Matheson stayed upright and not gotten hurt on that play, that they would have had a very good chance of getting those 2 points in regulation. I really feel that they were playing in such a way down the stretch in that game that they weren't, that they would have done that. The problem is that they haven't been able to do that. So, this is one that maybe you felt the hockey gods took away from you, but the other ones weren't. The other ones were just complete collapses, which is what I think makes this one most frustrating, is they were right there. They were playing really well with that lead, and they literally got the worst bounce off of Mike Matheson's ankle.
Yeah. And I just I want people to miss me with they lost, right? Because this is a team that the process still matters, right? They're not there yet. So for me, that improvement in the process, what were you saying? It was 7 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Undone by a half second. That 7 minutes to me, it's a huge incremental improvement over the last games, right? And again, we're still early in the season. Imagine them building on that and then building on that. By the end of the year, they should be able to defend leads no problem, right? Yep. So when people when we want to praise the Habs in a loss, the process still matters, and I want people to look at each game and take the positives from it anyway, because otherwise we risk burning out on a team we love, and we risk missing those important moments, like that Kapanen goal. I swear Kapanen is going to come out every 2 weeks and just change his name. Every 2 weeks he's going to go to the media and be like, this is how you pronounce his name.
He said it himself. In Finland, he is called Oliver Kapanen, and that is his name. As Gord Miller once said, you cannot mispronounce your own name.
Well, you know what? Every Finnish person's arguing with me on this. So.
Oh, go argue with Oliver Kapanen. You're arguing with the wrong people, fellas.
Go tell him.
We didn't name him. Go argue with him. Anyway. I want to point out a couple things here. So the overtime goal, Jesper Bratt, I mean, like you said, Hab killer. We know that.
Every day.
It's unfortunate. But the real unfortunate part was Alex Newhook did not learn from history. Alex Newhook scored against the Ottawa Senators in a way that was almost identical to the pass that he gave to Jesper Bratt. That was tough. He was trying to go cross ice because the reason's obvious. He's got two devils on him. If he gets it across the ice, he's got a 2-on-1 on the other side. And that's the problem. He took a home run swing with 2 strikes, and he missed. That's all that happened. Yeah. Doish was very upset with the game. He was close to tears in the locker room, apparently, and very much put the game squarely on himself. I don't think that's fair.
I don't think he's seen the tape. He needs to see the tape.
I thought he was spectacular in this game. I really do. I mean, the first goal, people were like, he should have had that. I think that's a could have. He could have had that. It's a really good shot. Yeah. Also, on that one, man, rough night for Newhook. Newhook and Kapanen completely just bonked into each other at the blue line and gave the Devils that break.
Also, I don't know which broadcast you were watching, but in the intermission, they played it a couple of times, and I just kept laughing at it. And then I was like, that's my team.
Yeah, it was rough. So and then the Kirby Dach gets the funniest goal I think I've ever seen in my entire life, where shot comes in from Dobson, hits Dach, flies 20, 25 feet into the air before going behind Markstrom. Anyway, the thing I want to end on here is that the Canadiens have picked up point number 20 on the season. What game did we just watch? What number game was that? Was 14, correct?
Yeah.
How many games did it take the Canadiens to win to pick up 20 points in the standings last year?
I'm gonna say it was past Christmas.
It was 25. It was close. It was early December. 25 games it took them. So they're 11 games ahead of where they were last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to. I was definitely frustrated in the moment because it felt like they had that one in the third period, and then they very didn't.
They had that one in regulation too, which is something that we're watching for. They're depriving the New Jersey Devils of a point, which again, I don't think that if they're going to grab that wild card spot in the Metro, New Jersey is probably not their competition, right? It's probably more the New York Rangers, the Columbus Blue Jackets, but still, I really if that had ended on a win, I would have been on such a high right now, and I don't really want to diminish the efforts that they made.
Yeah, I want to see this matchup again in Montreal because in New Jersey, they hard matched Hischier against the top line for the Canadiens and pretty much kept them at bay to the point where Nick Suzuki's point streak is now over.
Yeah, he was very frustrated with that, by the way.
I think so too. He got hard matched. This will happen. A smart coach like Sheldon Keefe against, when he has a weapon like Nico Hischier, you have the ability to do that. So look, the Canadiens, they find themselves still picking up a point, but I won't call it a losing streak. A streak is 3 games to me. Okay. I think that's where I draw the line. They have lost back-to-back games. It is not a streak yet.
Okay.
All right, we'll leave that there. When we come back, we turn to you guys. It's the mailbag. We've got some fun questions, including an entry into 2C or not 2C that I don't believe we've talked about yet. And we'll get into that in just a minute here on Locked On Canadiens.
This episode is brought to you by Rougiet. Let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress, I'm tired, or it happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. And that's where Rougiet comes in. Rougiet.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rougiet makes it easy to get started. You just connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online. No awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. Visit Rougiet.com, RUGIET.com/LockedOnCanadiens to get 15% off your first order. That's RUGIET.com/Canadiens/LockedOnNHL. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnNHL so they know we sent you. Rougiet. Stop making excuses and start making moves. This episode is also brought to you by Doer, and I got to tell you, I am so excited about my new life-changing jeans from Doer. They have 5 times the stretch of traditional denim, but they're stretchy without looking stretchy. They look classic. They have this great look. You can wear them to work. You can wear them to go out. I'm going to take them all over the world on my travels. Doer are pioneers of blending technical innovation with everyday clothing, and they invented the original performance denim that's now going all around the world with me. Simply put, Doer makes the world's most comfortable pants without having to sacrifice style. Trust me, once you try these, they'll be your go-to as well. Get a pair for yourself or as an amazing holiday gift for someone you love. Go now to doer.ca/LockedOnCanadiens. You'll get 15% off your first order. That's DUER.ca/LockedOnCanadiens for 15% off. Doer.ca/LockedOnCanadiens.
All right, we are back, and we turn to you. Before we do that, I do want to just peek behind the curtain. After Jaden Strubal's second penalty in the third period, I texted Laura, Jaden Strubal has turned to the ice cream machine. And I'm not going to explain that, because if you're not listening every day, that's on you. It was an incredible bout of chemistry that we had yesterday talking about Chopped. And you need to go back to yesterday's episode and listen to it. But Jaden Strubal turned to the ice cream machine in this one, and I was upset about it.
Real ones know what that means. I think going forward, we're just going to be like, real ones know what that means, because the everydayers are the real ones.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's turn to our mailbag here. I want to start with one from Robert Rice, which admittedly, he tagged this as mailbag question. There is not a question in this. It is mostly a rant. But I think I'm going to work some podcast host magic here and get us to a point where this is a question. We'll admit, the moment I saw the Habs going into the shootout on Tuesday, I conceded the game as a loss. I love Marty, I love Nick and Cole, but their automatic placement in the top 3 of the shootout has to end. Suzuki has not scored in the shootout since 23-24. Cole has 2 since the beginning of last year. Maybe they don't practice it much because they're focused on other things, which is fine. But this is reminding me of when Plekanec would go out for the shootout, and we all waited for him to shoot the goalie's chest or shoot right over the net. Where are you at on the Canadiens and their selection for shootouts?
I think the problem is not that they're selecting Nick Suzuki and Cole Caufield. I think the problem is that Nick Suzuki and Cole Caufield are doing the same thing every time. That's the problem. You pointed it out yesterday after the Flyers game.
Yeah,
they need a new move. They both need a new move. But I also I am in agreement to a certain extent, because one of the people that was really successful in the shootout, like surprisingly successful if you counted the stats for the Montreal Canadiens, was Paul Byron. Is Paul Byron the first person you think of? No. And that kept the other teams guessing. So that's what you got to do. You got to throw out like Kapanen. You got to throw out, I don't know. Noah Dobson. I have no idea. Just,
Hudson.
Yeah, Hudson.
Put Hudson in there. Yeah, I think it's just they need to change things up, especially thinking about the fact that when they played against the Philadelphia Flyers, their former best friend was on the other team, probably telling Vladar, this is what these guys do. And I would have been able to tell you the same thing, at least about Caufield. Caufield comes in wide left, works his way back towards the middle slowly, and tries to go 5-hole every time. Like I share in Robert's frustration here because it just doesn't seem that that they're learning from their missed opportunities to score in the shootout. All right, Danny up next. Every single game, my son complains about the puck over glass delay of game penalty. Even if it's in our favor, he maintains it's stupid, as no one does it on purpose. And despite my best efforts to explain what would happen if this rule didn't exist, he ignores me. Not a wise move by your son. I'm hoping you can explain why this rule is required to a teenager who listens to everyone but his dad. Hopefully then he can just go back to complaining about Kirby Dach. Well, he's going to have nothing to complain about after this one because I thought Kirby Dach has been excellent this week.
Amazing.
Which is, yeah, great.
Yeah. Go ahead. We're going to go back to that in a second, but like maybe this situation is like in every game that Kirby Dach is good, the Canadiens can't come out with a win. I feel like,
it's the curl of the monkey paw. He's like, I wish I would do anything to be good. Canadiens lose every time he's good. Like,
like Kirby Dach is thriving. The rest of the team, unfortunately, because it's like mishaps. It's like, it's weird little things like that. Bad luck with the Mike Matheson thing. Like he did his job. It's just, it's possible he got hurt. All right. The puck over glass. So I want you and your son to Google "Down Goes Brown puck over glass." It is I think that might be the post where I discovered "Down Goes Brown." Sean McIndoe, somebody we absolutely adore on the show. He is a Leafs fan, unfortunately, but the original "Down Goes Brown" blog post, if it's still up, about puck over the glass, your son is really going to enjoy that, right? But yes, because the problem is if you don't make this a penalty, then every time you're going to resort to it to prevent the other team from like getting a scoring chance, right? When you're in your zone. So you're not like the game's just not going to, it's just not going to go on because every time you get even close to the goalie, somebody's just going to whip it over the glass.
Yeah, I think, there's always the argument, well, treat it like an icing where if you go over the glass, the faceoff stays inside and you can't change. And that's all well and good, but it kind of, to me, eliminates like the competitive spirit that the sport is supposed to have, which is beat me on the ice. Like, don't just chip it away and be like, oh, I don't want to, like, haha, now neither of us can do it. Like, at least with icing, if you chip it down the ice, there's a race, right? There's a foot race. There's actual hockey involved to determine what happens next. When you go puck over the glass, it's just it's just puck over the glass. It's to me, I'm a big proponent of this penalty. Now, my argument has always been that if I was commissioner for a day, that if the puck goes over the glass and the team who is going to get a power play has anyone on their team who puts their hand in the air and goes, hey, to tell the ref, they all saw it, man. I hate it. That's the one part about puck over glass that drives me nuts. I hate it so much. All of them would get major and misconducts. Like all of them would be gone, in my opinion. We need to get that out of the game now.
Have you read that post by Down Goes Brown?
I haven't. Does he mention this?
No, you have to go read it. Yes, it's all about that. That's his thesis. That's his central thesis.
I love that. I have not read that, and I'm glad that my idea has existed before I had it.
Yeah. Maybe even before you were born. Sorry.
Yeah, that's possible.
I've been on the internet a long time.
Let's move to Danny. Here's Danny Joe on Blue Sky. I love Dach, and I'm seeing a lot of people online want him with Demidov or Bolduc on the second line after a steady start and a couple games of improvement. I think this is too soon, and this year they are doing the right thing, bringing him along slowly with lower pressure. What do you think? Especially after now we have another good Dach game under our belt. Where are you at on moving him or giving him more offensive firepower at 5-on-5?
You know what Kirby Dach is not doing? He's not going to the ice cream machine. You know
what
he's doing? He's plating. He's plating with more than a minute to go. That's what Kirby Dach is doing.
Confident.
And the Canadiens, like, this is the best way to deal with him because you know what? He might become the second line center of this team. If we're not going to know this until until they make a trade or until like the playoffs start, right? Like, it's just that we're not talking about it. Like the Canadiens are not talking about it. The Canadiens are just letting him grow, letting him cook to keep up with the analogy.
Yeah, I think I am getting closer and closer to thinking that Dach can just be the second line center. I'm not there yet. Like there's a lot that needs to happen between now and then. He's having a great week, but he needs to show more than that. I just find his whole the whole Kirby Dach package to be very enticing, to be very much like that. He's big. He's a jerk. Like when he gets Kirby Dach is at his most effective when he's just being a jerk. And I love that. I love that he can do that because there's not a lot of guys who are going to be able to push him around. He's also got incredible hands. He loves to do that spin move coming down the wing. Like you can see why the Canadiens are enamored with the idea of this working out. I also think it's going to be a lot cheaper for them to find another impact winger than it is to find an impact center. And wouldn't you know it, Jordan Kyrou just got benched. He got healthy scratched in St. Louis. Like if you come to the determination that can be Kirby Dach can be that guy, then our conversation shifts away from a second line center to, finding some lower in the lineup centers that are left-handed and then finding another impact winger. And I think that's a way more, there's a lot more options for that than centers right now. There just aren't many available. And
you probably won't have to give up Michael Hage.
Also true. And then you've got another second line center in a few years, like I definitely don't believe in waiting until Hage is ready, but like,
I also don't believe in trading him.
Right, exactly. I believe in get an option now and then have another one in a few years. It's what is it? Delayed gratification. That's what we need to express here. All right, we're gonna step aside for a second. When we come back, we'll get back into our mailbag, including another 2C or not 2C with the Minnesota Wild, and we'll get into that in just a minute here on Locked On Canadiens. The NBA is back. And there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, welcome back. Home stretch for the week. Look at us. At the end of another week, we made it. You made it. As you're listening to this, it's Friday. Congratulations. You made it to Friday. All right, let's do another 2C or not 2C here. This one comes to us from Claude, our friend Claude Sauvé. Do you think if Minnesota continues to struggle throughout the season, they would be open to trading Joel Eriksson Ek? I think he checks a lot of the boxes. He's a left-handed center with size and skill. He's 28 years old with an excellent contract. I know these are all reasons not to trade him, but the same argument could have been made for Dobson. And I did say Dobson's name 3 times in the offseason in order to summon him. Well, thank you for that, Claude. Can you say healthy Mike Matheson 3 times? Anyway, and Vlad, say it with me. Eriksson Ek, Eriksson Ek, Eriksson Ek. This is an option that I really like, but I really like it because there's no shot it happens. And as Claude pointed out, for all the reasons that it would be really cool, those are all the reasons that despite Minnesota being in a tough spot, they would hold on to him.
I think they need to hold on to their great contracts. They're really good value contracts, because they are obviously the authors of the most expensive / lucrative salary in the NHL currently, or yearly salary, I should say. I think that's the thing is that it makes so much sense for the Montreal Canadiens, and that's why it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. In a perfect scenario, we talked yesterday about how much homework they've done on every center in the league. He's probably pretty high on their list, right?
I would imagine. I think he's exactly what they would want. Yeah. And Claude is right. The contract is sweet. $5.25 million for the next for this year and the 3 years that follow. That puts you squarely in Michael Hage territory.
There you
go. That puts you in the right spot. However, he does have a full no movement clause, so he would need to approve coming to Montreal. And who knows? Maybe he doesn't want to, even if Minnesota is bad. But again, Elliot Friedman said yesterday or 2 days ago now that the Canadiens want to get their hands on the best center available. That available being the operative word here, but also best center. They're not limiting themselves to just somebody who could be a second line center. Joel Eriksson Ek is one of those tweeners. He could be, he's that sort of top 6 center. All right, this one from Curtis. Question: which Habs legend does Cole Caufield remind you of? For me, it's Guy Lafleur. He was silent but violent with the puck throughout his career, whether at the Montreal Forum or on the road. Who does Cole Caufield remind you of?
This is tough because he's very little and very fast, right? I think a little bit like the Roadrunner.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
I just to clarify, I am not old enough to have seen him play, guys. Okay, like I'm old, but I'm not that old. I've seen highlights and I've seen his demeanor like off the ice, and like there's just a lot of similarities there. I always think of them in the same kind of vein.
Yeah, for me, it's a little bit more of a situational fit, and it's Steve Shutt. Again, not a guy that I saw play live, but less than 6 feet tall. Wore the number 22, had a 60 goal season. I still think it's kind of a shame his number wasn't retired in Montreal. I mean, he did just about everything he could have done besides have a name like Guy Lafleur or something else. Like he doesn't have the name recognition that a lot of the other ones have.
It's also the era that he played in. If he did what he did with that with those teams, if he did them in like any time after the like late 90s, he would be a shoo-in.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, Alexander Christian here. Are the Canadiens playing with fire a little bit by keeping their lineup so lean that there's no scratches or one on the road? Are the new salary cap rules requiring them to save their quarters for the deadline? I know it's important to keep chemistry for the Rocket, but a Belzile or Dauphin could travel with the team so that Mark Delgaizo isn't playing center if Jake Evans wakes up with a high fever. That is the point, right? Like that's the reason why they keep calling up Mark Delgaizo to go on the road with them, because they don't have another defenseman. But they also don't have an extra forward right now because Laine can't play, and they're using their extra forward in Joe Veleno. I do think it's cost savings. I think it's a way because you bank all that cap space throughout the season, and that's how you end up with your deadline cap space. But I am like I'm like Alexander here. I'm a little nervous sometimes, especially like we're right in the beginning or middle of flu season, right? Like someone just wakes up feeling like crap. Well, say hello to like Alexander Christian said, top line center Mark Delgaizo, because we know Marty, when somebody is out, it doesn't matter really like what the fit is. He'll just throw the next available guy into that spot, right? Like he'll just do that. So I'm equally as worried about this.
Yeah. Well, when Caden Gooley comes back, they'll throw Arbor Xhekaj in there. I want to see Arbor Xhekaj play forward.
We already have a Xhekaj that plays forward. I don't get as excited about that as everybody else does.
I just think it'll be funny.
I think it would be funny until he takes his third boarding penalty of the game on the forecheck. Like that's kind of what I expect him to do. I shouldn't be talking bad about Arbor Xhekaj. I actually think he had a very good game against New Jersey that like nobody is going to talk about given the rest of the stories. All right, we have time for one more here from Randy Hansen. We all have players that we are cheering to see play for the Habs. Scott had his Xavier Simoneau crush. And now I ask, who is the player you are hoping to see play his first game in the NHL this year? Not someone popular, but your current crush that maybe gets no love. I'd love to see a third or special event jersey with a battleship or dark gray base for the Habs. Can you recall seeing a jersey with this base color before? I think would look gorgeous. We'll talk about jerseys in a second. The first question, is there a guy that you're like, I need him in the NHL. I want to see him get a shot.
Was he good or not? That's the question. Like,
dealer's choice. What do you like?
Okay. Cusp player.
Yeah. Someone that maybe you don't think would get a call up and you're like, I really want to see this happen. I was also going to say Sean Farrell.
Yeah, Sean Farrell for sure.
I think in the AHL, he's so dominant. And I just don't think that I don't think his game translates to the NHL, but I also want to be able to say that with proof of concept, right? Like we were kind of just like, he's small, it won't work. As we sit here watching Lane Hudson and Cole Caufield do really fun stuff together. The second part of his question was about jerseys. I'd love to see a third or special event jersey with a battleship or dark gray base color for the Habs. Have you ever seen a jersey with a dark base color before? Like, where are you at on the Canadiens with a third jersey for what it's worth?
Honestly, like I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. I love gimmicks like this. It's just that sometimes it feels like some teams they come out with something just to come out with something and it's ugly AF. I don't want that, right? Like
the Hurricanes get a new home jersey every year.
Yeah.
I agree. I just give us a throwback. Give us the 1945 throwback that looks like this jersey, the regular road jersey, but with the blue stripe behind the logo. Like, just give us that. That's all people want. They don't want anything crazy. You gave us 2 blue jerseys before you gave us another throwback. I find that to be really an interesting choice by the people in charge at the Montreal Canadiens. All right. We will leave that there. We'll close our mailbag. Thanks everyone for participating and for sending in your questions. If we didn't get to your question, we'll get to them. We had a lot this week, so there was a lot to get to. We'll save them. We'll bank them. We'll be back next week with our mailbag. Maybe we'll sprinkle some in throughout the week as well, as we have time to do so.
We do like doing that. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Let's do our trivia here. Yesterday's question: Brian Giunta, former Hab and Devil, only scored 2 goals against the Devils as a Montreal Canadien. Which player assisted on both of those goals? Do you have the answer, Laura?
Is it Scott Gomez?
It's not Scott Gomez. That's a great guess, although that would have only had to have been in like 2 seasons in Montreal. He scored one towards the beginning of his tenure in Montreal and one towards the end, and one of those players who was there throughout was Thomas Plekanec, who assisted on both of those. I didn't really remember them playing on a line all that often, but like, come to think of it, who else would Brian Giunta have been playing with? It was probably Giunta, Plekanec, and Pacioretty at some point.
Or some power plays.
That's true too. Just Super Rain had that one right, so thank you, Super Rain, for playing as always. All right, today's question, as we await the Utah Mammoth in Montreal. The Utah Mammoth only have one former Hab on the team, Mikhail Sergachev. I was surprised to remember what his number was in Montreal. He played 4 games with the Canadiens. What number did Mikhail Sergachev wear in Montreal? If you have the answer, put it in the comments down below this video. Tell us any way you know how, and we'll give you a shout out on the next episode of the show. And that is going to do it for us today on this episode of Locked On Canadiens. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day and for subscribing wherever you get your podcast. Doing that supports us here on the show and ensures you don't miss an episode. For your next episode, go check out the Locked On NHL podcast. Locked On NHL Game Night is back. They're giving you the breakdown on every game that happens every night. So go check them out. Subscribe to Locked On NHL here on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. You can find the show, Locked On Canadiens, just about everywhere we're posting things. Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok primarily. LockedOnCanadiens@gmail.com for the mailbag is probably the best place to send those in. You can find me at Maybe It's Ian. You can find Laura at The Active Stick. Enjoy the game on Saturday. We will be back on Monday with our weekly recap and whatever else we feel like doing next week. We'll see you then.